Make sure to be a member on the channel, link is in the description. Hello guys, once again it's Matt and today we have another video. Thank you guys for all the new subscribers and yeah, thank you my members Silami, Lafush and Vivi for being members. It helps a lot. Make sure to subscribe to continue to help me, and if you want to be a member, it helps a lot. Thank you guys. And let's get into it. So today I kind of have basically a proof that a MiG-25 can be in game, that it won't be bad. Uh, I know I'm pressing a lot on this key. I know a lot of people don't like the MiG-25, but I do, and I think it should be in game, and this is the proof of it. So we are flying the F-4J, which it was basically the top tier of the USA, and it didn't have custom loadouts. And with the custom loadouts added in the last patch, it now can do one thing. A very cool thing that you can actually pick 6 Sparrow missiles. So I'm actually using in all these battles just the 6 Sparrows, no guns, no AIM-9s, just the Sparrows. In a MiG-25, obviously we would have the R-60s and stuff like that, being the PD variant, but still, no cannons, because this is the proper way that I actually normally play with the F4s. If they are the J, the K, the M, the F4C, I normally don't use cannons, not because it's proving a point, but more because I think it's more fun in doing this. It's a little bit different, and yeah, just it's fun. It's a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, today we are doing this, and yeah, we get a lot of kills with it, and because the Sparrows are pretty good, they are very good missiles. You miss a lot of missiles, and there's a factor that I was even talking with a friend. There's a factor of, you have 6 missiles, radar guided missiles, so you ended up firing them in odd positions sometimes and odd performance. So you ended up missing some missiles in a very bad way sometimes. It's just kind of weird. But in general, you can get short kills, short range kills, long range kills, all kinds of kills with this. And I would not advise you guys to use this. I mean, I still take the 4 AIM-9Gs, or at least 2 of them. But it is fun to have this type of payload. And if you are having trouble with the missiles, obviously use the cannon. It's the last, kind of the last thing that you can do with using missiles, and when using the F4. And here I'm going to get killed in a very odd way. I flared it out a lot, and I took off my afterburner, but still the missile went for me. There's a kind of a different way that thermodynamics are working in RRB. For some reason, the missiles are not going for flares that much anymore, which is kind of fun actually. It was very easy back in the day to actually evade missiles, IR missiles, and now it's still easy, but a tiny bit more difficult, especially in this type of um, aircraft like the F-14, the F-4J, that produces a lot of heat with 2 huge engines there. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. And in my personal opinion, I think aircraft like these are going to be more and more common. I talked a little bit about it on the MiG-23 last week's video, with the MLD, that I talk about how, for example, MiG-29, a Su-27, modern aircraft, even the European ones, don't, even the American ones actually, because you have to think like I mean, the pods that the early Phantoms used, they used 1,000 rounds of ammunition, and even the Americans. But all the 80s and 90s aircraft, they normally don't have a lot of ammo. The MiG-29, for example, has 150 rounds. I think the Su-27 also has only that, and even the Typhoon, I think, he only has that. So the more we go to the future, the less we are going to see the cannon being used in a battle. And it is not the cannon should not be the way that you measure an aircraft being good or bad. That's what I'm trying to get at. A lot of people were doing that, and it is just kind of weird because it is not the main thing, about an aircraft. I mean, used to be a very big factor back in World War II and Korea, even Vietnam. The amount of cannons that he had and the size of the cannon and how much ammo does he had. But with more modern computers and HUDs and stuff like that, with more modern missiles, the cannon became more precise and less needed in a situation of combat. So in general, you will see the more we go into the future, the less a cannon will be used and the less ammo does it need to be good, and etc etc. So there's a lot of factors that you have to consider. And yeah, I'm not trying to prove a point, as I said. I'm just trying to have fun with this loadout. That was a 30 something kilometer kill. But it's just a thing of you have to think about this stuff, because if not, you are going to only consider a aircraft being good because of its cannon, and it's just not true. Even aircraft in general cannot be just uh, basically you know, uh, labeled by the guns and the missiles and stuff that he has. It has all different factors to it, and every single one of them makes an aircraft good or a bad one, or a difficult one. I wouldn't say a bad one, but still a difficult one. So, aircraft like a MiG-25, for example, that don't have a cannon, only missiles, or an aircraft like this, if you use it without the cannon, it's not that they are less powerful without the gun, because for example the F4 even it turns way better than without the gun than with the gun, even to be considered comparable to the F4E, which is pretty good. I did a video back in the day with turn rates showing a little bit on that, on how the F4K, for example, or the F4J can actually be competitive enough in a turn fight without the gun pod, comparable to an F4F or an F4E. So the performance of the aircraft are amazing. So it becomes a little bit better than without than with the gun, which means that the aircraft is a little bit better. It is a little bit better. And together with that, you have amazing missiles. I'm not gonna say that the F-4J has all amazing missiles. I think the AIM-7F is the top of the top right now, together with the R-24. But still, in the radar guided department. On the IR department, of course, it doesn't have very good missiles, but it always can be updated if the performance on the statistics of the game are not that good. They can receive better IR missiles. So this is kind of a letter of love again, for um, these types of aircraft. And the MiG-25, as I was saying, is one that even though it doesn't have a cannon, it can turn properly well, and it's not 4.G, the maximum amount of Gs that it can pull. It was actually 11. The 4.5 was a recommendation because of wings becoming a little bit too flexed, and you might have a thing called aileron reversal, I think it's called. So yeah, it's just a matter of um, an operational limit, like the 6.8 F-14G limit, that I think it was 6.8, and many other aircraft has these limit. The MiG-23, for example, it had a limited for operational use for normal combat for 8 Gs, and in game you can pull until, I think I managed to pull without the missiles and very light, you can pull more than 14 Gs with the missile. So yeah, don't expect War Thunder to be that realistic, of course, and don't expect, because it doesn't try to, of course, and don't expect an aircraft like a MiG-25 to be a 4.5 G turn aircraft. Even a Phantom can do more than 10 Gs in the game. So yeah, and it's just a kind of, like I said, a love letter to these type of aircraft. I think they should have a place in the game, and they will probably have it. But in general, as we are going to the future in War Thunder, we are going to see more and more effectiveness in the radars, in the missiles, and everything else, and it will make the cannons less and less and less needed to be able to compete. It's just it's not that you are not going to use them, because War Thunder has a lot of furballs and stuff like that in the middle of the match, but it means that you will probably get more kills with missiles, and at the end of the day you will probably not get a single one in most matches with the cannon, which happens a lot even if you think about the cannon aircraft, like the F-14 for example. Most of the matches that I play with it, I normally don't get cannon kills. I don't know if it's the way that I play or anything like that, but maybe it is, and cheers for that guy. But the MiG-23, for example, is another example that I like to mention. That normally I don't use the gun, only in certain situations. And what was that missile doing? Something bounced the radiation off earlier than my target. But anyway, it is just a matter of getting accustomed to everything and all the new technologies and stuff like that. And I know it can be hard sometimes and can be difficult, but I think it's a matter of changing together with the game. The game is changing and you have to change together with it. Uh, this is more like saying to people that play this game for a longer time, like myself, for example. I have to keep changing the way that I think, because the meta once in my gameplay life was that the MiG-15 was good at vertical dogfighting, and the Saber was good at horizontal dogfighting, and the Saber had more top speed, and that was the meta. That was the top tier meta once. So everything like that, it just changes completely. The more you go into the future, the things change, just like in real life, which is always fun. And yeah, as I said, it doesn't mean if you like the MiG-25 or if you don't like to use the cannon on the F4s, for example, like myself, doesn't mean that you don't like guns, that you are against guns and you are like a defender of missiles and technology. That's not the point. The point is that you are using the weapons that the aircraft had in real life, with or without the gun, or the missiles, or the radar. So you have to always think that each player has an individual type of gameplay, an individual type of style that they like to do things. So, for example, I'm not the greatest Phantom pilot ever because I think it's too bulky, and yeah, maybe um, it's too bulky for a dogfight. It's what I mean. It's very good in long range engagements and stuff like that. That's why in the missiles video that I did last week, I mentioned the FGR2 or the F4M receiving the M9L, for example, because that aircraft is not good in dogfighting. It's really not. The only thing that it has is engines. So it's basically a kinda, quote unquote, smaller version of a MiG-25 in gameplay. It would be, of course, it's less fast and it turns a little bit better than a MiG-25, but it still has different missiles, everything. You understand what I'm saying? But it's just a matter of the way that it plays, and it is a very, very, very good aircraft for long-range engagements. But it doesn't have a very good BVR missile, even though the Skyflash is a very short-range missile for head-ons and stuff like that. It is really bad at long ranges. It's comparable to the R-23. I even got more kills in the R-23 probably than the Skyflash at longer ranges. Of course, at shorter ranges, the A2 and the Skyflash are better in every way, but still. And the M7F, of course, they don't have it. And the missiles that they have with the IR version are the M9Gs, which are very, very limited for top tier. Even though they are usable and they can be usable in many instances, but yeah, they're not the greatest thing ever. And yeah, it's a thing that you don't have. I mean, what's the point of using an aircraft like the F4M if you can use the F-4J that has the same radar, it has a little bit less power, but it's still fast, and it has the M7F. It doesn't. I mean, what's the reason behind the F4M? The engine, it doesn't change that much, to be honest, and yeah, it's just a matter of having each aircraft having its own abilities and its own uniquenesses, you know. So yeah, but anyway, that's a topic for other discussion. It's just a matter that I was saying that every aircraft has its own type of gameplay that you have to have, and they're good in its own ground. As I said on the Lim 5 video, on the simulator video, that was an interceptor. This is kind of an interceptor, a defense fighter, so fleet defense, you know. So it's very good at doing that. MiG-25 would be good at doing that. So you have to use the aircraft like it is good. Like it was supposed to be used in a great manner, you know. An F5 is not going to be used in the BVR department, that's what I mean, you know. And you have to just always try to use the aircraft on its um, strengths, you know. I think every single combat pilot ever like said that once in a while, but I think the quote is originally from the von Richthofen, which is the Red Baron. He said that it doesn't matter the crate or something like that, it matters the pilot, and you have to play it by the strength of your aircraft against the weaknesses of your enemies, you know. So, for example here, I'm fighting F5s, I cannot dogfight them with an F4, doesn't matter the F4, I cannot do that. I'm trying to get them with kind of a boom zoom tactic here, with BVR, you know, with BVR missiles, even though we're not actually BVR. But yeah, and in this situation, I'm playing against his weaknesses, which is not having BVR. And I'm using a BVR missile that I have, which is a strength of mine. I'm not gonna play in a dogfight manner because I'm not a good dogfighter and he is. So it's always like this. You always have to think about that, and yeah, any aircraft can be used in many ways. And yeah, this is the problem now. I don't have missiles, and that's why I should always try to bring at least the AIM-9Gs, but maybe even the gun sometimes. But still, I got many kills. You ended up being kind of a support fighter, which is always kind of weird. I don't like this world, but still, you know. And I was getting back to the base, and I landed, and this is the end of the video, so I see you guys on the next one. And bye guys, I see you guys, and subscribe, be a member, and let's see how this ends. Of course it ends like this because it's War Thunder. So bye guys, see ya.